Back again with another Strega book by Tomie dePaola. This one apparently did not win a Caldecott Award. So this one is Strega Magic Lessons, Story and Pictures by Tomie dePaola. And this one is the first time we get to meet Bombolona. So Bambolona, the baker's daughter, was angry. Every day, summer, fall, winter, and spring, she had to get up before the sun to bake the bread. Then, piling the loaves on her head, she went to deliver them. But her work wasn't finished. Rushing back to the bakery, she had to mix the flour and salt and water and yeast and set the dough to rise for tomorrow's bread. You see her there with all the bread stacked on her head. She does not look very happy. "Don't forget," her father, the baker, would say, "to make the cookies and bake the cakes. And remember, Bombolona, to clean up everything, spick and span. I'm going now to see my friends." And off he would go to sit all day in the square of the little town of Calabria. One day, Bombolona said, "Papa, there's too much work to do. I need some help." "Get up earlier," her father said. "But I get up now before the sun," said Bombolona. "And I'm the last one in town to get to bed." "That's the way things are," her father said, as he went out the door on his way to the square. "And don't forget," he called back, "you have a wedding cake to bake." That did it. Bombolona dusted the flour from her hands and took off her apron. "I'm going to change the way things are," she said. "I'll go see Striga. She is wise. She will help." I love the way her braids just go straight back. "I think I know how to help you," Striga said, after hearing Bombolona's sad tale. "So many people come to visit me with their troubles. I could certainly use some help. Why not stay with me, and I will teach you my magic?" "Oh, Striga," said Bombolona. "Thank you, thank you." "We'll start today," said Striga. "Oh, there's Big Anthony." Now Big Anthony, who worked around the house and in the garden for Striga, was listening. He was always listening to what other people were talking about instead of working. "Striga," he shouted, running into the house. "Me too! Teach me your magic, too." "Oh, Anthony," Striga said with a smile. "I can't do that. Why don't you go and milk the goat?" Now Big Anthony was the one who was angry. "I'll show Striga," he muttered. "I'll just go and work for the baker now that Bambolona has left." Down the hill Big Anthony ran. The baker hired him on the spot. "The first thing you do is mix the dough," the baker told Big Anthony. Put in this much flour and this much salt, this much water and this much yeast." He looked hard at Big Anthony's smiling face. "Do you understand? The yeast makes the dough rise. Now mix it right away, and by the time I get back at 6 o'clock, the dough will be ready to bake into loaves." "Si, senor. Yes, sir," Big Anthony said. The baker walked out of the door and towards the square. Now think about what you know about Big Anthony from the last book, and think about if he is going to do a good job as a baker, or if he is not going to do a good job as a baker. "I'll just look at everything first," said Big Anthony, poking around. "Cookies!" He ate one, and then another. "Cakes!" He ate one, then another. Big Anthony ate them all. In fact, he was still eating when the clock in the square struck 4. So it's 4 o'clock now, and he needs to have everything ready for the dough to be baked at 6. And it takes a long time for that yeast to rise. "Mamma mia!" said Big Anthony. "I forgot to mix the dough. It won't rise in time." "Ah, I know. The yeast makes the dough rise. I'll just put in a lot more of that, and the dough will rise much faster. I'll still have time for a nap, he said when he got through. He sat down and promptly fell asleep. Oh my goodness, look at that mess. Did it make the dough rise faster or did it make the dough rise way too much? What a sight the baker saw when he returned. Out! Shouted the baker. So think about the last Strigonona book we read. Think about what Strigonona's house filled with, and think of what the baker's bakery filled with here. Are there any similarities? Are there any differences? What's the matter, Big Anthony? asked Senora Rosa. That baker threw me out. Now I have no job, he answered. And it's Strigonona's fault. I never would have left her home if she had let me learn to be a Striga. Silly goose, said Senora Rosa. Who ever heard of a man being a Striga? All of a sudden, Big Anthony's eyes lit up, and he ran off. He's getting an idea, I think. Probably not a very good idea, but still an idea. To cure a headache, you must first fill the bowl with water, Strigonona was telling Bombolona. Next, you add a few drops of olive oil. Then you say these magic words. Knock, knock, knock. Strigonona went to the door. Oh, Strigonona, said a tall girl standing there. All my life I've wanted to learn your magic. Will you teach me, please? Ooh. Just gonna read the English part. Dear me, said Strigonona. There's this new, very tall girl showing up at Strigonona's house. What is your name, my girl? Uh, Antonia, said the girl. Why do you want to learn my magic, Antonia? Strigonona asked. Oh, so that I can help people, said Antonia. Ever since I was a little girl, I've wanted to become a Striga. Ah, in that case, said Strigonona, come right in. This is Bombolona. She is learning my magic, too. Bombolona stared at Antonia and then at Strigonona. How nice, two girls to teach, Strigonona said. She smiled at Bombolona, and then she began. To learn magic and practice it well, she said, you must learn to see and not to see. You must learn to remember and to forget, and be still and be busy. But mostly you must be faithful to your work. Do you understand, my dears? See, yes, Strigonona, said Bombolona. No, no, said Antonio. When are we going to learn to do the magic things? In time, said Strigonona. Now, let's practice some of these magic words. Repeat in the right order after me. Soon, Bombolona said all of them by heart. Antonio kept mixing them up. Bombolona learned the cure for headaches. Antonia didn't. Her person's all happy, and Antonia's person still looks pretty miserable. Bombolona learned to make love potions. Antonia did not. Here we see a couple nicely standing next to each other, and here we have a girl smacking the guy in the head with something. Bombolona learned how to get rid of warts. Antonia did not. You can see he's still all bumpy on his nose. Bombolona, said Strigonona, I think you are ready now to learn more powerful magic. This is a special book. It is very ancient and contains many magic secrets. Tomorrow we will begin with it. Oh, grazie, Strigonona, said Bombolona. Me too, Strigonona? Asked Antonia. Not yet, Antonia, said Strigonona. You have other things to learn. Uh-oh, I see someone creeping in the night. That night, while everyone slept, Antonia crept into Strigonona's house. Bombolona thinks she's so smart, said Antonia. I'll just read that book tonight, and tomorrow I'll surprise her. And Strigonona. The next morning? The next morning, Antonia was looking very tired. Antonia, said Strigonona, watch and listen. Come, Bambolona, we will start. Wait, wait, shouted Antonia. I have a surprise. I know some real magic. Watch me turn that iron kettle into a golden one. Are you sure, Antonia? Said Strigonona, frowning. Yes, oh yes, said Antonia, beginning to mutter some strange sounding words. But then she stopped. Wait, I remember now, she began again. Be careful, Antonia, warned Bambolona. Magic can't be fooled with. I've got it now, Antonia said. Uh-oh. She muttered more words. Suddenly, there was a bright flash and some smelly smoke, and the iron kettle was still there. But Strigonona wasn't. Instead, where Strigonona had been standing was a nice, fat toad. Now see what you've done, cried Bambolona. Oh no, shouted Antonia. Oh, help, help! Somebody save Strigonona! What have I done? Strigonona warned you to be careful with magic. Now she's gone forever, Bambolona said. Strigonona, wept Antonia, picking up the toad. Forgive me, please, Bambolona. You're so clever. You're so smart. Please change her back again. I promise I'll never play with magic again. I can't change that toad into Strigonona, said Bambolona, but I can change Antonia into Big Anthony. Big Anthony! Bambolona pulled off Antonia's handkerchief, and sure enough, there was Big Anthony. Oh, I'll never learn, howled Big Anthony. I'll never learn. Oh, Strigonona, Strigonona, what have I done to you? Perhaps, said Bambolona, if you really promise to never ever play with magic again, that'll bring Strigonona back. Do you really think that would work? Said Big Anthony, sobbing. It's worth a try, said Bombolona. Big Anthony put down the toad. He closed his eyes tight and put his hand over his heart. I promise, I really promise, that as long as I live, I will never play with magic again. Just please bring Strigonona back. There was another bright flash, some smelly smoke, and presto, Strigonona was back. Where am I? Said Strigonona. Oh, I'm in the little house. Whatever happened to me? Hello, Bambolona. And why, Big Anthony, what are you doing here? Where's sweet Antonia? Tell her, Big Anthony, said Bambolona. Oh, Strigonona, said Big Anthony, falling to his knees. He told Strigonona what he had done. He was so busy crying and talking, he didn't see the nice fat toad hopping past him on the floor. There's the toad hiding under Strigonona's dress. There's the toad hopping out of the room. Bombalona's looking at her and she's smiling like maybe she knows something. And so, Strigonona, please, he said, if you take me back, I promise to be good. I'll do all of my chores and never play with magic again. All right, Anthony, said Strigonona, smiling. But before you can go back to work, change your clothes. You are wearing Senora Rosa's nicest dress. And that's the end. So most stories kind of have more than one problem in them, especially when they're longer stories like this. Maybe think about what the problem was in the story. Maybe each character had a problem. Think about what Bombalona's problem was in the beginning. Think about Big Anthony always has lots of problems. Think about some of Big Anthony's problems. Did Strigonona have any problems? And then how were those problems fixed? What was the resolution of those problems? Maybe even think about problems you've had. Were they the same as problems in the story? Were they different? How were they the same or different? Every story has lots of questions you can ask yourself. Until next time.